What has it been like? You've owned X for a year now.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and have a dream that you didn't do it, and your life is infinitely easier?
Well, it's certainly a recipe for trouble, I suppose, or contention.
What was it ultimately that led you to make the decision to do it?
I mean, this is going to sound somewhat melodramatic, but I was worried about that it was having a corrosive effect on civilization. That it was just having a bad impact. And I think part of it is that it's where it was located, which is downtown San Francisco. And while I think San Francisco is a beautiful city, and we should really fight hard to kind of right the ship of San Francisco, if you've walked around downtown San Francisco, right near the FK Twitter headquarters, it's a zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's rough. Have you been in that area?
Not lately. No.
Yeah.
I've heard.
It's crazy.
I've heard it's crazy. I've heard you really can't believe it until you actually go there.
You can't believe it until you go there. So now you have to say, well, what philosophy led to that outcome? And that philosophy was being piped to Earth. So, a philosophy that would be ordinarily quite niche and geographically constrained, so that the sort of the fallout area would be limited, was effectively given an information weapon, information technology weapon to propagate what is essentially a mind virus to the rest of Earth. And the outcome of that mind virus is very clear if you walk around the streets of downtown San Francisco. It is the end of civilization.
And it's not just propagating the mind virus, but suppressing any opposing viewpoints.
Yes. Well, in order for the virus to propagate, it must suppress opposing viewpoints. So.
Because it doesn't stand up to scrutiny.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, you've felt the virus. You know? Yeah. People will try to cancel you so many times.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think you're melodramatic at all. I think it's I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic, but it's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. No, that is exactly right. It's essentially the extinctionists. Like, it's in the limit. It is that they're propagating the extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like, there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the extinctionist movement, and he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, "There are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none." And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
Yeah. Does he have friends? That's what always fascinates me.
Well,
here he is.
That guy.
He looks like he's not long for this earth.
I mean, he's not
Voluntary
young.
human extinction movement. That's hilarious. I'd like to party with that dude. I would just like to
That's an explicit version of the death cult.
Yeah, maybe
the
live long
cult.
and die out.
It's not. The extinction is a word he uses.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's not it's literally a self-description.
Do they cover him
death
glowingly?
cult was in charge of social media.
Yeah.
And still largely is at Google and Facebook, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not in favor of human extinction. They are, and they can go to hell.
Well, that guy is.
Yeah, he can go to hell.
That guy seems silly. I
well,
would like to hang out with him, though. I would like to find out what makes him tick. I bet that guy is fascinating.
Well,
if you get him alone for a few days,
I'm in favor of. I'm pro-environment, but the in the limit, if you take environmentalism to an extreme, you start to view humanity as a plague on the surface of the earth, like a mold or something.
Right.
But this is actually false. The Earth could take probably 10 times the current civilization. The population you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest. So the environmental movement, and I'm an environmentalist, has gone too far. they've gone way too far. If you start thinking that humans are bad, then the natural conclusion is humans should die out. Now, I'm headed to an international sort of AI safety conference later tonight, leaving in about 3 hours. I meet with the British Prime Minister, a number of other people. So you have to say, like, how could AI go wrong? Well, if AI gets programmed by the extinctionists, its utility function will be the extinction of humanity.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if...
They won't even think it's bad, like that guy.
Right. Yeah. If you let
It's
AI...
messed up.
There's a lot of decisions that AI would make that would be very similar to eugenics. I mean, there would be some radical changes in what people are allowed to and not allowed to do that allow them to survive that may be detrimental in terms of like pollution and things like that, but it may be the only solution they have in their area. I mean, maybe AI would come up with some sort of a different structure in terms of how they get power and resources, but...
There's no shortage of power. Like we talked about solar power for cars, the issue is that cars just have a very low surface area. But you could actually power the entire United States with 100 miles by 100 miles of solar.
Really?
Yes.
So you could just pick some dead spot that you fly
Of which there
over,
are plenty.
cover that sucker up with
Correct.
solar panels, and charge the whole country
Absolutely.
24/7.
We need batteries, but yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's not hard. Meaning it's very feasible. In fact, the sun is converting over 4 million tons of mass to energy every second, and it's no maintenance. That thing just works. We have a giant fusion reactor in the sky. That is the sun. In fact, someone's like, well, what about radiation? I'm like, the sun is literally a nuclear reactor in the sky.
Yeah.
Are you scared to go in daylight?
Rocks have radiation.
Yes.
Yeah.
The radiation risk is greatly overestimated.
I always wonder why radiation is always bad in real life, but always awesome in comic books.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like,
Get
no
bitten
one
by a
gets
radioactive spider,
superpowers.
and suddenly you have spider abilities.
Get hit with gamma rays, you become the Hulk.
What if you're radioactive cockroach? You'd be like the cockroach man.
Yeah, you can be one of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, like, most people just don't understand what radiation is, and so it just sounds like a mysterious, invisible death ray.